Cat
credit
said that John is checked out now.
John's in summer mode.
Even though, hey, by the way, it's
We
not
are also
public
live.
yet.
We also live, by the way. We are live, by the way.
Sean, I was just texting you.
I can see the thing above my head. We're live.
All the show
Hey, we are
links
live.
the same.
Great.
Where you made your mistake is you went to school.
Right now,
and
I have
you
to stop
started
saying.
trying. You should go in there not trying and just.
It's
stay
Wednesday.
Not trying.
This is chaos.
It's
And
what day is it?
It's Wednesday.
That's Hump Day.
Happy Hump Day.
That's Hump Day. Today's Hump Day.
Oh, for anyone who's looking, my tweet that doesn't have Sean in it, Sean's on the show today.
Sean's on the show. Nobody checks the Google Doc anymore that says
It's summertime,
Sean
baby.
on the show today. Let's start the DLLS Stars podcast. This is the DLLS Stars Podcast. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour, your home base and the best place to catch the Stanley Cup Final. Just steps away from the AAC, the ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot to watch the Stanley Cup Final. And before we get to today's show, let's tell you about the Ball Knower bonus, because you have a chance just about every day, if you want to try to win a gift card to the All City merch store of your, if you get your picks correctly, and you have a double challenge here, because tonight, Game 1, Stanley Cup Final, start by picking the winner. Who's going to win Game 1? Or tomorrow, Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Either one of those. Then you browse our merchandise store, make a purchase of at least $25 or more. If your pick wins, you get a gift card to the same amount as your original order. Now, the important thing is you must click on the link in the chat, also in the show YouTube description, to bet and get your gift card. So, for all you ball knowers out there, make your pick, place an order, and if you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card on us for the same amount as your order. That's the Ball Knower bonus. All right. Happy Wednesday. It is June 4th. This is the DLLS Stars Podcast. As you can see, we're all here today. Sean Shapiro, Craig Ludwig, Sam Nestler, our producer, John Andersen. I'm Owen Newkirk. Guys, as we get this one started today, we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about rumors and speculation and nonsense on social media. So why stop there? Let's do it again. Jeff Merrick, who used to work for Sportsnet and a bunch of other places, and currently writes for Daily Faceoff, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
Sam, had an interesting piece about Jason Robertson. You were the ones that first saw this. You called it to our attention. So why don't you set it up, and then we'll get into this discussion.
Yeah, the conversation's pretty simple. Jason Robertson is someone who Dallas will have to re-sign for what you would imagine would be a big number. When they brought in Mikko Rantanen, people were wondering, how they were going to make room for certain guys. Jason Robertson was one of those guys. The way I look at it is the Stars have a bunch of players that have consistently not shown up in the playoffs, and Jason Robertson did himself a good service by having a good finish to the playoffs. But he was among those players. I know he had an injury that just kind of hasn't been able to find his path in the playoffs to be as impactful as he is in the regular season. He is someone who leads the team in scoring, leads the team in goals almost every year. He was a top-line guy. The rumors are essentially that Dallas is looking to potentially open up some cap space, because we know where they have Sean, $5 million about at the moment.
Yep.
And a lot of guys they're trying to either re-sign, or if they are trying to make some bigger moves and change their structure, they're going to have some money to go out and get somebody. So the rumor out there is that his name is among those. For me personally, I don't think it's going to happen, but I will say that goes with me and Luds were just talking before the show. If they do decide that we need to be a more physical, tougher team and can't just be a regular season team, that's a name that might pop up.
Well, I would say that you can be a tougher team, but you don't have to get rid of Robo.
Yep.
For me, it's hard. I mean, he is a goal scorer, right? He's a point guy. I mean, over his regular season career, he's about a half a goal a game guy. He's over a point per game. Playoffs, he's just under that. He's like a 0.3 goals, and he's just under a point per game guy in the playoffs. So, but I think that I think 35, 40 goal scorers don't just come out hanging on trees, right? So, can you surround him with what you're looking for, something that can complement? I mean, I look at like a guy like Reinhart in Florida. Like he's not Bennett, but put Tkachuk on his line or put Bennett on a line with him, you kind of accomplish the same thing. So, I don't know. I'm happy to hear that, whether it's from management or ownership, that they're saying, listen, we need to be a tougher team to play against. But I don't know if you go out and get rid of him. The other thing is the only thing is Robo hurt a little more often than you'd like. I mean, I don't know. If
no, only this year.
Just this year.
Prior to that, never.
Was it both in the same year then?
Yeah.
So
the
foot
training camp
and the
and then
pinky
he had the cyst removal of his foot, the surgery in the summer, which affected his training leading into the camp.
Pretty healthy then. I mean,
completely. And then that knee injury. That's about it, right? Yeah. So a lot about this. First, Luds is absolutely right. Jason Robertson.
That doesn't happen often.
Well, let's highlight it. Ta-da. Since his first full season, which was the COVID-shortened season, the 56-game, he played 51 games that year. That was 2020, 2021.
Calder runner-up.
He is, from that point through this is regular season numbers, through this season, he is the 13th highest scorer in the NHL. He has 393 points in 371 games. There are 12 players ahead of him during that span, all with at least 400 points, and then you have McDavid with 600, which is stupid. He has almost 100 more points than Leon Draisaitl does in that same span. But the point of that is he has more points than William Nylander, barely, more points than Kaprizov. Of course, he's also played a lot more games because Kaprizov got hurt. More points than Kyle Connor, Barkov, Braden Point, Gensel, Aho. You get the point, right? All these guys. You don't just toss away talent because you're worried about salary cap or potential playoff. The one thing I would really push back on, and then Sean, you please give us your take on this, is the playoff thing. Because I know that earlier in his career, he didn't look as good in the playoffs. He didn't look like he knew how to get to the hard areas. He didn't look like the intensity of the playoffs suited his game as well. And he was more, as Lud's like to call, a perimeter player. Coming off of the injury at the end of the regular season, which was horrible timing this year, he didn't play in the first round, surprised everybody by being ready for the second round against Winnipeg, and wasn't very effective. But boy, once that goal went off of his stick, the Bichel shot in the Edmonton series, and it awakened something, you go, well, maybe that gets him going. And he scored in the next two games. He had goals.
He was the best player in a
couple
of those games.
He looked like Jason Robertson. I'm not worried about him long term. I think that you cannot give away that high end of talent. But Luds is right.
But can you use him? Because you have Rantanen, you have Hintz, you have Wyatt. Can you use and I'm not saying it should be Robo, but is that the kind of player that can bring in a couple of the pieces that you're looking for? That's
the interesting question about this story. Sean, we'll go to you on this, because one of the things that Jeff Merrick was, this is pure speculation, right? He isn't reporting any facts.
The summer.
But he said, if Robertson were to be moved, I would look at Dallas at being in on Mitch Marner, which is an interesting thought.
Oh, we're really getting tougher there.
That's my whole point. I think Marner's a heck of a player.
Get that.
But I think Jason Robertson's probably he's taller, he's stronger, and he's probably more physical.
Wait, are we saying that he's tougher than Marner?
Do you think he's not?
I don't think we should even compare them to. I think they're just. To say that Robo's tougher than Marner, I don't know. It's like,
is that like saying Sam's tougher than Marner?
Yeah, I don't.
He's not ready to go that far.
No, I'm just saying.
Sam.
I don't think either one of them are that tough. To be totally honest with you, but Marner's. I don't think Marner's coming here. That's not solving anything here.
I don't think it solves anything either. John, what do you think about all this nonsense?
I've just been enjoying the show and the nonsense right now, and somehow I've gotten paid for the first 10 minutes of the show to say nothing. It's best show of the year. Best show of the year so far. I look at Robertson, and it's, for me, it's what is the second part of the move. If you're gonna talk about making a trade to trade Jason Robertson, I'm completely fine with that. But you need to be able to present to me how you make your team better through that move, whether it's in the immediate return or the following move right afterwards. Because that, I think, too often we get caught into the mystery box, the whole, oh my God, we could trade Jason Robertson and maybe we could get a goal scorer, a forward that's around good size and everything. And then you look like, well, maybe that's what we have right now. So I think you should look at all options, and you should definitely look at it. And like, I don't mind the Marner discussion from this perspective. And I don't want to go down you can have the toughness discussion one way or the other, but the Marner discussion to me is at least intriguing, where if I could do Marner for Robertson 1-for-1 right now, I would do it, because all of a sudden I'm getting some certainty to plan around, because by trading Marner for Robertson, now the point being, I'm trading for Marner before July 1. I get his rights so I can sign him to an 8-year extension and get that done. And I do it similar to how the Stars and Hurricanes worked at a deal where it's on contingent upon the player agreeing to that 8-year deal before the trade gets finalized. I would be open to that, because as a team that's trying to build and figure out some cost certainty, you bring in a player, and then all of a sudden you don't worry about Jason Robertson's RFA deal a couple of years. It causes some financial headaches this year, but you get the ability to work with it long term. That's where I would be open to the Marner-Robertson conversation. It's like for like, but I get some cost certainty, and Toronto needs to move on from a player who the fan base has soured on because of what that core four, as they like to say, has done, and they get to connect the Robertson brothers together. So that's why I would consider the Marner thing. It's not a toughness thing. It's a like-for-like type deal. And then any other trade for Robertson, I'm fine with it. Bring it to me. Put it in front of me. But it's got to be one where you say, okay, this is how, whether it's the return or the immediate step after, this is how the team gets better.
Sean, would you, since we're talking about it, do you think, money aside, certainty aside, Marner, Robertson, do you think one of them is significantly or obviously better than the other?
I think Marner's a better player.
Okay.
I think Mitch Marner is a slightly better player. I think he's a more usable player in all situations. And we can discuss toughness and everything like that, but I feel like Mitch Marner is a player I can use in all three zones and can use him a little more up and down my lineup. Why Jason Robertson has to be more of a top six guy, just solely, right? When he gets moved down, he becomes less effective. I think Marner at least can do that. I'm not saying one's more better, but that's my view of the two players. So.
Hey, Luds, do you have a feeling on what Marner's dollar amount he's going to command in this next free agent contract that's coming up?
Between 10 and 12.
Okay.
Closer to 12.
So it's going to be double figures.
I'm not going down the Marner road, because part of becoming a tougher team, you don't just bring in two players and say you're tougher. It has to be a mindset. The whole group has to be able to buy in and say, we're going to do this. Marner's not selling that for me. I mean, I don't see where that brings him. I agree he's a better player. I think he's a better player in all three zones. I mean, the guy's been nominated for a couple Selkies. I watch him play. He plays hard. Yeah. But again, I'm thinking, okay, you have Wyatt, you have Hintz, you have Rantanen, you have Harley, you have Heiskanen. Here comes Mitch Marner. Oh, I'm going to get an extra 10, 15 points this year because he's going to put them on my tape like nobody else can. Is that changing the mindset of this program?
No.
Not a chance.
But I think the important part is here, there's two different things. Moving Jason Robertson doesn't make you tougher. I think you have to look at the two. Any Jason Robertson trade to me is a like-for-like cap space type move. That's what it is.
And so the ironic part, Sean, is that if you did let's say the Marner to Robertson swap, as Luds just very wisely pointed out, Marner's figure starts with 10 plus. You're going to actually hurt your salary cap this coming season by at least $3+ million, if not more, which means you're going to have, if you did that, and I'm not saying they're going to, and I can't tend to agree with Luds. I don't think the Stars are remotely in on Marner. But I think that if you do that, you're going to have to get rid of more players just to fit him on this year's cap.
For this year's cap, the logic is, that's why I brought up the word cost certainty. The logic is you get him and say it's a $11 million deal. Just picking a number out there, and you go 8 years. You know that certainty for 8 years. Jason Robertson is going to be an RFA. Say Jason Robertson goes out and scores 120 points this year. Jason Robertson might look at that and say, I want $14 million. Not saying he's going to say that, but it's just, I think it's the certainty of moving assets.
Then you'd be happy that you have to pay a guy that scored 40 again.
No, and exactly. But I think that's where this goes, and that's where that conversation goes. But to get to the larger point here, and I know we got to go to a break in a second, to get to the larger point is when you're talking about trading Jason Robertson, you're talking about for a huge return and a big part of that. It's not I'm going to move him for 5 draft picks. If you're doing that, you're making a big mistake. So you have to come to me with the there's no Matthew Tkachuk available. You have to come to me, give me the equivalent of what Florida did with Jonathan Huberdeau. The Huberdeau trade was one where you made that trade because you could get Matthew Tkachuk. It's not, you weren't going to trade Jonathan Huberdeau. He was an MVP candidate that year. You weren't going to trade him away unless
I have an interesting idea. So, I want to ask you about this next here on the DLS Stars podcast.
What's up, Stars fans? It's officially the off season here in Dallas, Texas. So grab some cocktails. Enjoy the game. Well, that should have been easy, but let's just move on from that. What to wear? You know what to do. Throw on that Rantanen jersey because I'm pretty sure that guy's going to be back after all this talk. I don't know who's going to be here, so we'll see. Not sure what to serve your friends? That's even easier. Pick up some pizza, grab some Bud Light, and stock up the fridge. For some reason, it says 6543 behind that, but I think I hit the buttons as I was talking to you. See, it's that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4. I'm just telling you, 6543. I don't know. It's always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, but remember, do it responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
6543. I love it. All right, let's talk about Wendy's. If you love Wendy's classic Frosty flavors, I do, then we have some big news. There are all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors you can get in either chocolate or vanilla. Now, we had a couple of them on the show yesterday to varying degrees of success, John.
John's went in and came right out.
He was feeling 10 pounds lighter, I'm sure. So it's the same creamy treat you've always loved, now in a flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors? Well, thanks for asking. Okay, we've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel, or caramel, depending on how you like to pronounce it. Then we've got the thoroughly blended and mixed Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie. I had that one yesterday. The caramel crunch, and the one that John enjoyed, Pop-Tart strawberry. Not to mention that, yes, you can still get vanilla. Try them all to find your favorite. Are you going to be a strawberry swirl girl, a caramel craze fanatic, brownie batter buff, Pop-Tart, strawberry freak, you name it, the Oreo brownie, all of that. Anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for it. So clock in for the sweet treat time anytime, including midnight or later, with Wendy's all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic, got to be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
Bing bong.
Gotta go to Modell's.
What?
Remember that place?
That has nothing to do with Wendy's.
It gotta be Wendy's, so just gotta.
I remember the thing. Oh,
Sam's turning into
squirrel.
It's big in New Jersey. That was a big commercial.
Okay, super chat from Ryan
Squirrel.
Chambers, a Robertson and a Pavelski, I believe is the. Yeah, there it is. Okay, Marner is just unproven. If Robo gets traded, I would rather have someone that is playoff proven, which is really hard to find. By the way, I saw something that Robo has scored 32.5% of Dallas's Western Conference final goals in the last 3 years.
Whether they scored 7 of them total.
Well, we could look. We could look that up. So, Sean, carrying over, I said I had a question for you.
Yeah.
You talked about the Huberdeau trade, Matthew Tkachuk, and not getting draft picks. Because I agree with you. Well, the Stars have very few draft assets in the next few years because of the acquisitions they made with Rantanen, Ceci, and Granlund this year and a couple other things. That would be pushing that down 3-4 years longer, right? It just wouldn't be a now thing when you still feel you're a team that's close to getting over the hump. It would be a subtraction. So what if you could trade Jason Robertson for Brady Tkachuk?
Yes.
Would you do
why is
that?
A question?
Yes.
Because that's...
These are easy things. Why are you asking me easy questions?
These are easy.
Okay, hold on,
Anyone
guys.
named Tkachuk,
Hey,
I would
Sean,
trade for.
Do you know that we have 3.5 months to training camp and we're doing a podcast every day?
but right now, okay. before this gets clipped and I get yelled at by Ottawa Senators fan, why would Ottawa trade Brady Tkachuk?
They're not going to, and especially after getting a taste of the playoffs, they're going to stick around. Okay, because you just said there's no point in a like-for-like trade.
This
for
is
Robertson.
a hypothetical show.
I feel like we usually have to do this to Luds. This shouldn't be this hard, Sean. Because if you're going to move him, I don't think you should move Jason Robertson. He's too good and he's too important to your core, in my opinion. Yes. But if you're going to entertain this speculative hypothetical,
why are you pointing me? I didn't say it.
You called this hypothetical speculation show.
You're pointing at me like I didn't say Robo should get traded. No. I was like, I got nothing to do with it.
I'm not blaming you on this. But if you're going to do that, then he's the type of player. It doesn't have to be Brady Tkachuk. Take your pick. But
Tom Wilson. Bang.
Would you trade? There you go. I'm not going to ask Sean because he doesn't understand how to play the game.
They won't.
I understand the game. I understand the game, Owen. But my point is you're asking ones that aren't realistic. We have to have the Marner discussion because Marner is a realistic option. Brady Tkachuk is the captain of the Ottawa Senators and not getting moved.
But why would you trade Jason Robertson for Mitch Marner? He's going to be a free agent in a month. Why wouldn't you for his rights?
Because you it's a cap world. You don't have the
Well,
cap
you better
space.
have more than just his rights if you're going to give away Robo then, because that's not nearly enough return.
Did you listen at all? Luds normally doesn't listen, so I'm not going to blame Luds for this. Literally in segment 1, I said you work on a deal where it's contingent on him signing the 8-year deal before you go through. Same way they did.
Yes, I did hear that part.
Yes, so why are you not using that data I gave you in segment 1?
Because I'm still mad that you didn't want to talk when I gave you a question.
Because no one's going to trade Brady Tkachuk. That's a terrible example.
Do you have anybody? Tom Wilson, Luds.
That's a good one.
I should go up and get a Bud Light. I think.
Yes, go get a Bud Light.
Yeah, well, they're not going to make that trip. But
why would
if
Caps
what
get
we're
rid of
looking for to do again? I don't think you go out and get a fourth line guy that plays 6 minutes a game, which there aren't that many anymore. That's not solving it. The Tom Wilson. I even like Andersen in Montreal. I mean, I like those kind of guys that bring that element. But you're not going to fix it with one player. So, I just the window is open for a certain period of time, right? And I don't know how many players it takes to unscrew an Oreo cookie or whatever it's called. So I don't know how many players it takes before you all of a sudden, what is it? Center of the universe?
Center of a Tootsie Pop.
Tootsie Pop, yeah. I don't know how many players does it take? I mean, to me, you need to have Jacob Trouba here, again, in his heyday. I'm just using it for an example. You need to have that guy that kind of sets the tone back there. I think you need a winger well, look at what Edmonton did, for crying out loud. I mean, all of a sudden, they're really hard to play against. They didn't go out and get no top-line guys. They got a 41-year-old that's leading the charge when it comes to that. They got Kane, who seems to be healthy. He's in that neighborhood.
And Hyman
Frederick is in that neighborhood. What?
And Hyman changed his game.
Yeah, and Hyman became the leading hitter. And I mean, they bought into that. They got to the end of the road, so to speak. They figured out what they were missing, and they figured out what they have to do to get through whoever they're going to play, which it's just a rematch, so they know that now. But they learned that they needed to be a grittier, tougher. I don't know if it's tougher. Maybe it's grittier is what you're looking for. Yeah. You're looking for some gritty players.
Toughness to me is not the answer, but it's
you
going
need guys
being hard to play against.
That's the number one thing.
They don't have to. You want them to push back, but you want them to initiate the push, not just to respond. You want to lead with it. You want to be that team. Florida's that kind of team.
Do you remember a few years ago when people would talk about Dallas, they say that's a heavy team to play against?
Yeah.
And we've even heard that like this year or last year, that's a big, heavy team. And we go, really? Are they big and heavy? Because it's gone the other way. And Ghilardi talked about this last Friday of we've evolved into more of a skill team, which has definitely helped them with both regular season and making the playoffs.
See,
but has it hurt them down the road?
Evolving into the skilled team, to me, can be a coaching style. Because if you allow teams and promote teams to pass it into the net, that's what they do. And if you have players like that, that's great. But if you can be more direct, I just don't know if again, I use the light switch. All of a sudden we're going, they need to just be more direct in the playoffs, which is what I agree with. But you've played like this for 2.5, 3 years now. So why all of a sudden are we going to say we're going to be a tougher team?
And they even said in their exit interviews, like, we realized we can't flip a switch. which we kind of knew. But
they kind of did.
They did, but they didn't in that style
Who
way.
flipped the switch?
The Stars. They flipped the switch in terms of not playing
regular season to playoffs. They were a different team, but they weren't enough of a different team.
What? Because the goaltender stood on his head and Rantanen came into town and scored 4 goals a game.
It was great, wasn't it?
They were pushing back.
No,
Just saying they were not as poor as they were in the last 8 games of the year.
Their style of play the last month of the regular season was awful, and we all said, "I hope they flipped the switch," and then they turned it up.
They just didn't do it enough, right?
Yeah, that's more to That's more to your stylistic suggestion versus just raising your intensity.
Yeah, and if there's players in there that said that they wanted to be harder, we should have been harder to play against. Well, those players can be hard to play against within the system that they play.
Exactly.
You don't just have to tap downs around the outside.
But that's
you can
personnel, right?
No, you go into the coaches and tell them we're going to be harder to play against. I mean, Pete's not putting on the skates and playing. He's got a system, and
when I say personnel, I mean roster, not coaches.
Well, you mean Jim assembled the roster?
Well, no. What I'm saying is that you can have. You said that DeBoer's system could still be harder to play against with the same style, but being more gritty. Some of the players may not have that in their makeup.
You're right. No, I agree with that. No, you're right. But I think there are players that can add a little bit to that. I don't think anybody's asking that you're going to be the toughest guy in the league, but you have to be able to stand up as a group. I'm not talking about as a group. You got to be able to stand up, push back, and get into those them fights.
Mm-hmm.
You know, them moments. But you have to. There has to be. Well, you're not here that much longer, anyways. So you have to be able to go into those fights as a group, as groups of 5.
Yes.
Be 5-man tough. We're not. But their mindset is to go out and let's score 5 goals tonight because they can do that.
Do you think
they need to be? Hold on. This is why it's the harsh reality. Jamie Benn has insulated them too long for this, and this is why I've made this take before. Jamie has always been the person who's been Superman to come in and be tough.
The traffic cop,
else like that.
Yep.
Yeah, he can't be that guy anymore. This team, it's for the Dallas Stars to be tougher. And I've written this before. Jamie Benn needs to be gone, and it's Jamie's fault because he's been too good at it for years. He was the guy who policed everything for years. Everyone on that team, there's an entire culture on that team that believes, you know what, Jamie Benn is the captain. He's here. He's going to be the one. No one follows Jamie into the fight. They follow Jamie to the end of the earth, but he's the leader. We're like, oh yeah, there we go, great job. Let's go watch Samson fight somebody. That's what Jamie is. They need to. If Jamie is still back, this team will never be tough because everybody lets Jamie do the job for him and is unfair to Jamie Benn. I get ripped on as the Jamie Benn hater all the time, and really I look at a situation where a player is in a no-win situation because this team can't be tough because he has to do it all by himself. If you take him out of the equation, if you remove him from there, and I don't care what anyone said, he's the best captain in the world. 31 other teams say that they have the best captain in the world, whatever. If you remove him from the situation...
And the best fans.
All of the... yes, well, some don't say that, but all of the... Every other player realizes, oh, crud, I'm using crud way more now, oh, crud, we have to step up and do this because we no longer have Superman here to save us. Society itself has to fix itself. And so all of a sudden, when you remove Jamie Benn and the threat of Jamie, because everyone thinks, oh, we're not tough enough, but Jamie's here to save us. It's not fair to Jamie Benn. And all of a sudden, Mason Marchman is the one guy who's like, I'm going to try, but it's only one person. So if Jamie Benn is gone, the Stars at least have an opportunity to get tougher. Will they? No idea. Maybe they're just a bunch of wimps. Maybe they're wimps, but we'll never find out if they're wimps or not as long as this is still the leadership structure.
Yeah,
they have 2 guys on their roster that could have. They just chose not to play them.
Yes, they do.
They did.
They have more than that.
They didn't want to play Brendan Smith. They didn't want to play Matt Dumba.
Yeah.
Don't tell me Dumba can't get into that game and play that.
Yeah.
He can.
Again, there's other reasons why he fell out of favor or whatever it may be. But if you're looking for some of that, those 2 guys, I'm not saying that they're heavyweights, and there are no such thing as really the heavyweights doing it in the playoffs anyways anymore. There's 2 guys that would stand and look in your face. There's one of them guys I guarantee you would have went after Nurse. The other guy would have went after Bouchard. They're there, but
why don't you think they were in the lineup then?
Because we're going to score our way to a championship.
Yeah.
How'd that work out again?
Didn't.
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with Sean though, because I think that what was the don't poke the bear that I always said about Jamie Benn?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't go into a game thinking if we don't wake up number 14, we'll be okay. Right? You should be going to a game. I just said this to Luds before. When you go in and you play Florida, you're like, oh crap. We got to play Florida 6 times. Nobody's going into Dallas and thinking, crap, we have to play Dallas 6 times.
All John does.
But like, it's just a stylistic thing that I think Dallas hasn't had for a long time, and I did not know whether it was needed anymore because of the eras and the way it's changed. Florida has proven that you still need to have at least some of that to win championships, and I don't think Dallas has it. And I think that is something that I think Sean's right. I think the team looks at Jamie Benn and says, someone slash Rope hints. Let's see what Jamie does. And when Jamie doesn't have the energy at his age or whatever to do it anymore, it ends up not getting done.
And he only plays 50, and he only plays 11, 12 minutes a night now. So you're saying, okay, well, we're gonna it's not, and the team is not doing it. Like if I was seeing the team step up for Jamie Benn, if I was seeing the team be like, yeah, Jamie has kind of slept down in this role, and his playing time has decreased, and he's actually doing well in his minutes, but if all of a sudden the team was stepping up and being more physical or being like, hey, we're going to raise our level to make up for what Jamie, instead it's just been, well, he's off the ice. So it's 48 minutes a night where the Stars are a pedestrian. They're a dog and they don't really, they just get walked. If all of a sudden it's again, and I'm going to say this again, because I know people are ripping me in the comments and I'm fine. And I don't really care. The fact of the matter is this team relies too much on its safety blanket. Jamie Benn is the safety blanket that allows everyone else to be soft. And when you take that safety blanket away, people grow up or you figure it out.
Up next, we can keep this going or we can pivot here on the DLLS Stars Podcast.
Just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've been to those seen those big box stores. You wander endless aisles. Somehow you're hauling all your materials home, looking for your own installer and coordinating everything yourself. They might have a flooring department, but the person helping you with flooring may have been doing sinks yesterday and stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today is flooring and flooring only. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. Their floor designer is amazing to see what your floor will look like in any space. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using the promo code DLS. You heard that right, $350 discount with code DLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/DLS for full details.
Thank you, Sam. Let's talk a bit about game time. The NFL schedule has been released a couple weeks ago now, and they are, if you're not already making plans to go to that football game somewhere down the road in the fall, you should be, because Game Time is a life hack for unlocking amazing seats and experiences for a great price. Game Time makes scoring NFL tickets faster and easier with exclusive discounts. You'll find great seats for as low as $100. Game Time guarantee means you can trust that you'll get 100% authentic NFL tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so you see what you pay up front. Of course, you have last-minute ticket and zone deals, easy to find and buy NHL tickets like Stanley Cup Final tickets for every kind, even in your favorite area. And, of course, you get views of all the different seats as well. Don't forget last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the app, create an account, use the code DLS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Sam?
Game time! You know it's Hatch's birthday today?
Who?
Squirrel! Is it? Oh, he's 53 today.
Yeah.
I did know that.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Darian Hatcher.
Soon retired number 2, Darian Hatcher.
You're not reporting that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in the world.
You're
as
hoping
as Sean did long ago on our show.
Okay. Do you guys, I have more on Robo. Do you guys have any, you want to pivot, or would you like to talk a little bit more about this? Because my question about Robo has to do with playing with Hintz and Rantanen. Did you see anything there that you think, yep, that can be their top line next year, or did you not like it?
Are you talking about in the 82 games, or are you talking about the second season?
Both.
What is... No. Again, we're right back to where we were. I'd rather have you find somebody that can take care of them two guys on that. Again, Tom Wilson. Can we go get Tom Wilson? Yeah. Put him on that wing?
Do you think Hintz and Rantanen fit together as the top line?
Well, it seems like they fit together better than anybody else was there, right? I mean, they're the ones that were...
if Wyatt is an option now, because he's no longer your third center, I don't think. I think he's 2, if not
even 1. What are you going to do with Hintz.
That's the question. That's what I'm curious about. I just don't know. Like, Hintz has been in there. Sometimes you think you see something so long that you just think, oh, Rope Hintz, first line center. But, like, that's obviously not working in that second season.
I kind of thought, didn't it seem like, I don't know. To me, it seemed like Wyatt was a little lost during the playoffs. Like, it wasn't sure. You know, I thought in the beginning they were trying to maybe match him up against some specific matchups, and where he got kind of caught in between. And I didn't forget the plus minus and all that kind of stuff. He didn't seem as dangerous and dynamic and as he did in the preseason or in the regular season. So I don't know. I'm not sure. When you look back on this whole thing, I'm kind of wondering, how do you put your lines together? But right now, we're like, we don't even know who's going to put the lines together right now.
Yeah.
So.
Sean, anything you want to add about Robo?
I think we've said all of our pieces. I mean, the one place I will go just before, because people get so caught up in their own world of what they know and what they don't, and stories and narratives. So because we want to go back to the Mitch Marner comment from earlier. Okay. One player has 44 points in 56 career playoff games. That's Jason Robertson. Another player has, let me get this right here. Hold on. Playoffs. Another player has 50 points in 70 career playoff games, and that's Mitch Marner. They're basically the exact same player in the playoffs. So if you want to go and the whole Mitch Marner's unproven or whatever, like, fine, but that's Jason Robertson's the exact same thing in the playoffs. They've both been similar, and so it's if you're going to go down that path, it's the change of scenery, cost certainty. It's not the toughness move. The toughness move comes somewhere else. It comes from something that doesn't involve Jason Robertson.
All right, guys, let's talk about the Stanley Cup Final for a minute. So first and foremost, here's what the updated playoff bracket looks like now that we're down to the final round, which begins tonight in Edmonton. As you can see, it's a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup Final. I'm sure all of our brackets look just like this. In fact, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
I know Sean has at least one of those teams.
I like revisiting our picks.
Let's do it this time.
So you ready for this?
Yeah, baby.
I didn't ask John to clip all of the picks because it would have been like 5 minutes for both conferences. But the entertainment of the Eastern Conference Final predictions from Luds, Sam, Sean, and myself were enough that we had to share. So listen in.
I'm going to go Florida in 6 in this one.
Okay. Luds. Florida versus Carolina in the conference final. Who are you going with?
I have no idea. I want to say Carolina, but I think I should say Florida. So I'm going to say...
Would you like to pass? Would you like
Luds
to come back
Luds
to?
would like to pick both.
Honestly, I don't know.
Would you like to pick both in
Florida,
5 or 7
Florida
games?
to me is the better, more complete team. The way Roddy runs that team, I don't know if they're going to be able to compete. And you know what, Sean? Freddie Andersen is not going to be able to keep this up. So I'm going Florida.
How many games?
I don't care. What's the difference? I think picking games is stupid. In 7.
Okay.
No, it's in 6.
And 6.
It's
Or
stupid.
7.
It's stupid, but he's going to
6
change.
or 7. All right. So
It might be Carolina, though.
So just to finish that up for you, it's either Carolina or Florida in 5, 6, or 7 games.
Boy, Luds, as
So
long as
somebody
there is a
sweep
sweep.
incoming.
Sweeps, he's wrong.
I'll mark this clip, Luds.
All right. So I've got Luds down as Florida in 6 or 7. It might be Carolina, though. Okay, perfect. Sam.
I have Logan Stankoven scoring 4 goals in the series and Florida winning in 5 games.
Florida. I just started writing.
And Stank's going to score 4 goals in 5 games.
Yep.
Okay.
Matthew Tkachuk
And now
is
you
going
think
to
what I
crush
said was
Logan
stupid.
Stankoven.
I
The
actually
Panthers take craps bigger than Logan Stankoven.
I actually believe that Luds is on the right track because I am feeling, after what I just watched, that picking against Florida is a fool's errand. But I wrote Carolina in 7. I picked the Hurricanes to win the East at the beginning of the season, and so I'm going to stick with that. I've got Carolina in 7.
They won't score.
Maybe not. We'll find out. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Sam got it right on the money.
Except for the Logan thing. I
Luds
didn't
got
nail
it
that.
right, and Sean got it right, although there was some waffling about how many games and who.
Luds was good either way.
I watched that this morning and laughed so hard because of, well, maybe it's Carolina, maybe it's Florida, and how many games. And it's stupid. I don't even know why we do this. It was just too entertaining. So, and then John had a couple of zingers in there about eating and defecating, which we had to include. So Yes, indeed. I falsely picked Carolina in 7, so I was completely wrong. On the other side, I went with Stars in 7. Luds went with Stars in 6. Sam went Oilers in 6. And Sean went Oilers in 4. So you guys were all around it. I was completely wrong.
Sean, me and you, man.
So kudos to you guys. So now we go to the Stanley Cup Final. Florida, Edmonton, take 2. And we're going to start with Sam, who apparently is on the money right now.
Yes. Florida will win in 6 games.
Luds?
I'd say the same, but I have no clue. I mean, I really don't. I think these two teams are evenly matched, but I just keep going back to Florida. They've got 2 guys that are Selke, one that won the Selke, another guy that's sitting. I mean, the defenseman, the goaltender, I don't know. I'll go with Sam.
Florida going with Sam.
Can't be right.
How about you, Sean?
I picked Edmonton to win it all before the season, so I'm
Good.
going to roll with that and pick Edmonton. I think Florida wins this series, but I'm going to roll with my pick from the start of the. Based off
How
recent
many
evidence,
games?
I picked Florida. I would pick Florida in 6, but since I'm picking Edmonton, since I picked them to start the year, Edmonton in 7. I think.
Wait, he sounds like me now.
He does.
No,
he's taking a page out of the
He's
life book.
sticking with his pick from the year because if he does, he'd be
I'm
the only one to
sticking with my
get close.
pick. I'm picking Edmonton to win this in 7. Is what I'm picking.
So Dallas can't beat the Rangers in the final. That's still off the table.
Apparently not.
I think I had that one too, right?
Unless they're in a golf tournament against each other.
Sean, I made the same mistake you just made in the conference final because I wanted to pick Florida, but I said, well, I've got Carolina from the beginning of the year, so I'm sticking with the Hurricanes in 7. They won 1 game, right?
Barely.
So I am not going to fall for that mistake again. I'm going to pick Florida, and I'm picking them in 6 because I think if it goes to a game 7, which would be in Edmonton, I think the Oilers would win a game 7 at home.
Does anybody have a hope for? Like, who do you hope wins it? Does anybody? I mean, does anybody care? I don't personally care.
I wouldn't
but
be. I would not be bummed either way. I don't think anyone rooting against Connor McDavid.
It's been a
to
long
win
time
a
since the
Stanley Cup.
Canadian franchise won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
I believe
30+ years.
Yeah,
Lud's
93.
old club was a part of that in Montreal.
And they are the favorite.
it would be cool to see Edmonton celebrating a Stanley Cup. A city getting a Stanley Cup with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, because they haven't had any Stanley Cup success before.
for a long time. It feels like it'd be cool to see.
Is
That city was pretty rowdy just for the games that I was at.
I understand some people that don't want to see Florida win again, but from sort of a hate watch perspective, I'm kind of rooting against the Oilers because they're the ones that knocked the Stars out. So I'm going for Florida.
Fair.
That's fair. I'd like, just from a personal standpoint, having some of the players, there's more players that I've covered in my career that I've gotten to know as humans on Edmonton, between the John Klingberg, Jake Wallman, Calvin Pickard, Derek. I'd love to see Derek Ryan lift a Stanley Cup. I know he's not playing in this, but Derek Ryan, Janmark. Yeah, there's more players on Edmonton that I covered in my career that I've gotten to know pretty well, that just humans that I'd like to see win. So that's my slight rooting interest is Edmonton from that perspective.
John, who's your pick?
By the way, the Klingberg angle.
Brad Marchand.
Are you
Nice.
going? Are you going for
It's going Marchand.
Brad Marchand being on the team is what got me
Conn
to root for a Kachuk.
Wow.
Wow, that
I wanna
wasn't
see-
easy
I wanna
for
see
you.
Brad Marchand win another one. He supersedes Trent Frederick winning one. I'll go with Marchand.
So
Fair.
if that's the case, if Marchand, who won one in 2011 with a fellow rookie in Tyler Seguin, then maybe next year Tyler Seguin gets his second. I'd sign up for that.
Jamie Benn.
But to Sean's point, the Klingberg angle does. I'm emotionally saying I want to cheer for Florida because the Stars lost to Edmonton again. But it would be pretty cool to see a guy that I've known for a long time.
It's got to be a good series, right?
I think
It
so.
feels like it matches up like
Hey,
a good
let
one.
me ask you about that. I heard a comment from Chris Knobloch saying how important, especially with Ekholm out for as long as he was during the start of the playoff run, the acquisition of guys like Klingberg and Wallman were so important because of their puck-moving abilities. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, we're an offensive team. We need to get the puck out of our zone. And those guys helped him with that.
Well, they don't. I agree with that, but more importantly, they need to get it to a couple guys specifically.
Yes.
That's what he's basically saying. How about him? He's been coaching for 2 years. This is his second final.
Not bad.
That's not a bad start.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, of course, and it's the same. It's the same rules apply here. I mean, you want to be able to get the puck to the guys that want to be at the other end of the rink, so you got to try to get out clean. And yeah, and I think Klingberg makes perfect sense when it comes to that. That was always going to be about health, and so he's obviously. But I think the Wallman move is big. I mean, it turns out being big.
It's a huge move for them.
Yeah, I mean, now you got Wallman and you got Ekholm back in the lineup, and so they're a little bit tougher to play against, but they're team tough to play against. We saw that. We saw that the way that they go about their business. They're team tough in front of their own end, and if you're not willing to go in there, but they will find that it's a little different in this series versus the Panthers than it was against Dallas.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but I saw a tweet. It was probably more than just one, but I saw it from Jason Gregor. Zach Hyman dislocated his wrist and tore some ligaments in his wrist. He couldn't say for sure if he will be ready for training camp, which is awful for the guy. And as much as he's a thorn in the Stars side in the last two conference finals, when you listen to him, he is genuinely a pretty good dude.
Yeah, and he would be huge for them in this series.
What do you guys think Hyman, the lack of him there, losing him does? Because Perry looked like he filled in seamlessly at the end of the series against Dallas. But this is a different animal, having the guy that was the physical hitting presence and the net front guy.
I was just saying to Luds, he impressed me so much. You don't see players often just change the way they play the game. I mean, I don't know if the coach came to him or he just decided. He said, these guys need room. We need to take out some of their best players and physically punish them. I'm going to be the one who does that. I just watched the series rewind that NHL does for the Stars and Oilers. He hits Thomas Harley in game 1, and he says, that's going to be effing here all series. He made it a point to go out and hit every single player. And Thomas Harley, Esa Lindell, they look tired and gassed at the end of that series. That's going to be tough to replace because now you're asking Perry to do it, which takes away Perry as that other option on the fourth line.
Esa really looked tired.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if, not playing all those minutes and being on a PK all the time eventually catches up to him. And again, he's an important thing, but do you have to find another guy during the regular season that you trust as much as him?
Like the Stars tried to pull back on the Miro minutes for that same reason, so he's fresher in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just, again, that's your depth. That's not going out and picking up spare parts down at the, the auto parts store on Harry Hines over here, right? I mean, you're trying to get some pieces that fit right for the car that you're trying to drive.
More from the DLLS Stars podcast next. We'll talk about the Stanley Cup Final. And, boy, we got to look at the Die Hard Bracket Challenge update heading into the final next. Let's talk about being a DLS diehard for a minute for a couple of different angles. First, you have access to everything on the DLS website, alldls.com. There is a diehard mock draft with Charlie O'Connor from the PHLY, the Philadelphia network of All City, where he went through the entire first round. That is posted on our site. If you're a diehard, you can read that. Check it out. He has an interesting breakdown of all the mock draft of the first round and the teams available. Now, I know Dallas doesn't have a pick, but it is interesting. Definitely something that's worth checking out as we get ready for the draft, which is coming up in just about 3 weeks' time. And we also have a trip coming up as the DLLS Cowboys show will be going to Vegas in November for Monday Night Football, Cowboys Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. And this is a big, big deal. We're thanks to True Fan Travel. There's a whole itinerary staying at the Mandalay Bay Casino and Resort. Free time in Las Vegas. Just imagine what Luds could do with some free time in Sin City. There's get-togethers, going to the game. Travel can be from Dallas or elsewhere. And if you are a DLS diehard, you get 20% off events. Not to mention, you get a free t-shirt with your first year of your annual subscription, including all the great Stars shirts that we unveiled during the playoffs or right into the playoffs. The Otter shirt. We've got the Wyatt Johnston shirt. Of course, the Mikko finisher. I think our GM Ben was wearing the finisher shirt today. We have, of course, the Moose. Talking about Mikko Rantanen. And the Jamie Benn captain one, which you saw all three of us wearing during that last clip from our picks. And that one, the Finnish Mafia, one of my favorites. All of those available. Diehard at alldlls.com. Okay, well, we've lost Sam, but there's a reason for that because I want to bring up something, but he kind of needs to hear it. Maybe he's ashamed of this. Being a DLLS diehard, you have the access to the Discord channel. And one of the things we did is we set up the Stanley Cup Playoff Bracket Challenge for diehards. And so everybody got involved on that. Sean was ready to do it, but then forgot to sign up. And so he didn't sign up a pick. John, unfortunately, did not have a great pick. John,
I believe I had the Avs in 5.
Was this you, Jay Anderson's bracket number 1?
That would be my name, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Unless someone commandeered my name in the bracket.
I think this is you. It has Vegas as your champion.
That is correct.
And you have 49 points. And based on the standings of the 35 players in the DLS diehard bracket that filled out a bracket, you will be 35th.
Oh.
So that's
not far off from my Bruins.
If it makes you feel any better, pulling up second to last place is Sam Nestler.
Oh.
Also picked Vegas to win it all, and he had 71 points.
Always number 2 for him.
I ended at 10th with 122 points. I had the Stars winning it all, so I can't get any higher. And there's only a couple of things that can happen. Right now, Socially Distant is number 1 with 191 points. Ryan Chambers is second with 188. Schmidt Happens is third with 163. Pickle Jar is fourth with 141. And Ben Selheim, who helped us set things up, is fifth at 139. All of them picked the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup in this bracket challenge, which means they can't get any more points. However, we have one player that could leapfrog everybody, and it's Alistair Minton, our friend from the UK. He is in 15th place right now, but he picked the Florida Panthers to win the Stanley Cup. So if he has a max possible points of 218,
15 to first,
which means he could go from 15th to first and win it. If the Panthers don't win the Stanley Cup, Socially Distant will have won our diehard bracket challenge.
I didn't win it.
You missed it, Sam. I don't know if you had to run to the bathroom, but you and John finished 34th and 35th out of 35 players.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean,
solid.
By the way, I feel there's a unequal treatment here between Sam needing to run to the bathroom today and me needing to run to the bathroom yesterday.
Mine was just the number 1. I had too much water.
Too much information.
Yeah.
I
never said what mine was yesterday.
No, but you know who? Well, everybody else.
The duration said what yours was.
I think a lot of people inferred that there was something else there with the Frosties.
Maybe I have a blocked.
Wendy's
bladder
loved
or
the
something.
endorsement.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Did we talk yet about the Stanley Cup?
The what?
Because that's the important thing here,
What?
right? Sean wants to know who's going to win the Stanley Cup.
We did not talk about the Stanley Cup. If
I'm
you'd
just
like
gonna-
to share it,
I'm just
going
to say that I'm going with the Western Conference because they have Jake Ottinger and Shea Theodorable. So I'm saying the Western Conference.
Do you want to
wins
explain it to
2-1.
people like Luds who are furrowing their
You know
brows?
What's
the
going
Stanley
on?
Pup? Have you heard of it? You seen
no.
it?
I thought. You
Oh, it's hilarious to watch. It's just dogs peeing all over the floor, and once in a while the puck finds its way near a net, and they give them a goal. It's a hilarious way to spend your Saturday. So watch it if you don't. I don't even know when it is, but there's
That's
some
a
great,
heck
some
of an
great
endorsement
names.
for it,
But
Sam.
Petco Love, all the dogs are up for adoption.
Yes.
And Jake Ottinger is in Dallas, and I'm trying to get Katie to let me adopt him.
That is a story. If that happens, you need to figure that out. All right,
You guys think I bring
couple
stuff
bits of
up for no
NHL news
reason.
and notes before we sign off today. Luds, Colorado announced today the signing of Brock Nelson to a 3-year contract extension, $22.5 million. That means an AAV of $7.5 million for the player that have spent his entire career with the New York Islanders until moving to Colorado at the trade deadline. What do you think about that number for Brock Nelson for the next 3 years?
very, very good for him.
Yeah.
But we'll see if he's.
I mean, he's a
worth it.
good player. I thought he was a little quiet in the
Natchez say
series.
he doesn't want to be there.
Correct.
I think Natchez said
Rumors that he's not happy
he
with.
is not happy there.
being
So
there.
maybe they had to lock one of them up.
Well, if that does, that's a great curveball. I didn't hear that. If that's the case, I mean, that's the fear. You let Rantanen go or you traded him. Isn't keeping Natchez kind of a big deal?
I don't know. Apparently not.
And they were worried about losing Rantanen for nothing, and
Yeah.
then they gave him away, not realizing that he didn't want to leave.
The argument here is that Colorado opted to go for depth, which we said they got deeper. instead of, because I think people are arguing like, why didn't
they got
why
Drury,
not
they got
just give
Natchez.
Rantanen that money?
Then they went out and got
that
Nelson.
They're now giving. I think the argument there is that they solidified their team versus being a one-line team. However, if they lose Natchez, I'm not so sure that getting Drury and Nelson made them a better team than Mikko Rantanen did.
What do you think, Sean?
It's this. This is the line we're going to use way too many times, and I'm going to use it too many times over the course of the show in the next month and a half. Just because the salary cap, and we always say, "Oh, the salary cap is going up," and we say it like it's a good thing. It's a lot of space for a lot of dumb decisions to be made.
I think you said this in the beginning of this year too.
Yeah, so it's like the salary cap will go up, but that's a lot of room for some bad decisions. So, as Lud's put it best, good for him.
Do you like? I mean, I always liked Brock Nelson as a player, but 3 years at his age, I mean, that's
How old is he? You know?
now I'm
gotta
gonna
be
look at 30.
35.
That's why I was wondering if he's
Ish?
above 35.
I thought he was
or not.
32, but maybe I'm wrong.
said-
Oh, okay. Maybe he just looks
is it-
35.
I think he's 34.
He's 33. I was almost
Oh,
right.
close.
He turns 34 October 15th. So basically at the start of the
Be
season.
34. 34 in
So
3 years. 37.
It'll be almost at the end of his 36 when that contract is done.
That's not
I can
that
tell.
bad.
I can tell everyone from
better than-
experience that 30.
Yeah, well, I think he's still an
39.
effective player. What
Yeah.
oh my God, did I just say effective?
Oh,
I just
Yeah, he did.
I don't think
Show
I meant
over.
it the way you guys
that
said.
was notable.
Show
I didn't add
Show
the
over.
effectively on the end of it. 'Cause I still don't want to stick that one in there, but I still think he's an effective player for what they're looking for.
Anyone?
Yes.
That
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about the other item.
Oh, I
up.
thought we were done.
Nope. We still
Oh,
have a
so
couple
still
minutes,
on?
lads. Nikita Kucherov was awarded the Ted Lindsay Award. Something the NHL has done differently this year is they're not doing all the awards at the awards television broadcast event, which I believe is in Los Angeles this year.
Yep.
They are still going to announce, I believe, the Vezina and the Hart, but the other ones they're announcing sort of in the build-up to this NHL award show on the 12th, which is a week or 8 days away now. So we already talked about the Selke yesterday. Today, Kucherov, which is Ted Lindsay, is voted on by the players. Basically, the best player, MVP, whatever you want to call it, by the players. And Sean, the reveals, both for the Selke and the why am I blanking on the other one? What was the other award he got? The Clancy.
the King Clancy Award. Yeah.
And then this one, it's kind of cool that he was surprised by his teammates
Yeah,
down at
loved
the facility in Tampa.
Yeah. It's important to remember the Ted Lindsay award exists because I always get hockey writers think they're important and we're not that important. And because everyone will be
Fact.
like, oh, I have to, the Hart Trophy, I have to vote for the best player. You don't get to vote for the best player as a hockey writer. That goes to the players. They get to vote for the best player, the most outstanding player is the Ted Lindsay Award. So that's why the Ted Lindsay Award is what I think we should celebrate because it's the players' view and the players get to vote who the best, most outstanding player is in the league. The Hart Trophy is something different. It's league MVP. Hockey writers need to remember that sometimes because we think we're overly important and we are not nearly as important as we like to think we are.
All right, we have
King
a couple.
of the castle, King of the
I
castle.
want to ask you guys a follow-up, but I have a couple super chats. Let's get to those quickly. Let's start
Bing
with
bang.
this one. Burned Oils with a Brendan Smith and year after the cup. Let Luds go home and be at peace. He's done enough.
Yep. Fair.
Word.
Yeah,
Bing bang.
he's contractually obligated to be
Fair.
here. Allie with a Brendan Smith and a 79, which I don't have off the top of my head. That wasn't Michael Ryder, was it? I thought he was 71.
73.
73.
It's 73.
I'm just sending a chat to make the show longer. Thank you, Allie.
Appreciate it.
Not cool.
Joke's on you. We got it before the show ended.
Luds, what do you think about Kucherov as the best player over McDavid or McKinnon? Because I love Kucherov. I think he's maybe the most fun to watch. Is he, in your mind, the best player right now? I mean, he had a great year.
Yeah, he had a great. You know what? I think you can put 4 or 5 players in that
Yeah.
category. I don't really know how they choose which one is. I mean, if you're just going by points or assists or things like that in some of these, but I personally think that for me, it's McKinnon. I just think he's the most. McDavid obviously is the best player, but I just thought McKinnon can carry your team.
Do you think McCarr could ever win the Ted Lindsay? Or is it tough for a defenseman?
Well, I think it's tougher for a defenseman. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's dynamic too.
You'd have to have like an Eric Carlson 100-plus point year maybe
Yeah.
to pull that off.
Why
Sean,
do
do
we
you
have to use him?
agree with Kucherov?
Do I agree that he is the most outstanding player in the league? I mean, it's not my decision to make. Hockey writers aren't important. This is a player decision.
Double down. John is not about answering questions today.
I'm not going to let myself be double talked and let it be clipped of all of a sudden me give my opinion on an award that I should not have an opinion on.
Sam, do you like it?
Yes.
All right. Don't forget we have a show tomorrow. Sean will not be here, but the other 4 of us will be, as we have another 2:00 show tomorrow on Thursday. Thank you to Bud Light and Happiest Hour for presenting today's show. For the I won't talk or answer questions today, Sean Shapiro, our producer, John Andersen, Craig Ludwig, Sam Nestler, I'm Owen Newkirk.
Bye.
Have a great rest of your hump day. Hey, good stuff. We have a...
We all silly like the mayor.